All right, so next we have rigor mortis, which can help you determine time of death. Rigor mortis means death stiffness. Basically, this is caused by the lack of oxygen to cells once a body has stopped living. And because of the lack of oxygen, you have cells that also get a calcium buildup. Usually that calcium is dispelled from the cells, but now it's getting built up. So this buildup of calcium plus the lack of oxygen will cause the muscles to stiffen. So this will begin in the head and the smaller muscles of the face about 2 hours after death, and it will slowly work its way down the body to the larger muscle groups. Rigor mortis peaks around 12 hours, and then eventually it will begin to disappear after about 36 hours when the cells begin to completely break down. Therefore, the calcium is expelled because of the breakdown of the cells, so the body goes limp again. So, just as before, you'll have a worksheet to determine how long someone has been deceased, time of death, using rigor mortis information. So if you want to refer back to this chart at any time, it's just a nice reference tool. So it just says, I don't think you need to write this in your notes unless you want to. You can just refer back to it or print it out. 2 to 6 hours after death, rigor begins. As I said, the body becomes stiff. It starts with the smaller muscles up in the face area and will progress down the body to the larger groups. At 12 hours, rigor will be complete. The entire body will be very rigid and stiff. 15 to 36 hours, you start to slow rigor because the cells start to break down. So the smaller muscles will release the rigor and it'll move to the larger. And then after 36 hours, rigor is absent. The muscles will become completely limp again. So if you've ever seen a dead animal on the side of the road, they usually have a bloated appearance because of the gases that build up in the cells, and then they also have the stiffness. That is rigor mortis. So factors that can affect rigor mortis, how quickly it comes and how quickly it goes. The ambient temperature, which is the surrounding environment or room temperature. A person's weight can affect rigor. The presence or absence or just general weight of the clothing someone is wearing, general illness, and maybe how the cells are healthy or not before death. The level of physical activity before death will also affect rigor because someone who is had just worked out or was very active or running is going to have more muscle contractions happening anyway. And then just exposure to heat, cold, sun, wind. So as I said, the precise postmortem interval, PMI, cannot be determined solely from rigor mortis or liver mortis. It's only just an estimate, and we put all these things together to try to give a really good pinpoint of death. Just a chart showing you specifically how temperature, activity, and body mass can affect rigor mortis. So as I said, colder temperatures will slow or inhibit rigor progression. Warmer temperatures will accelerate it. If you are very active before death, this can accelerate rigor. So if you're working out, maybe something happened to you when you were working out in the gym. Maybe someone's just fleeing a scene, running, or fighting back with a lot of force. That can be considered exercise. If someone was not doing a lot or sleeping, rigor may happen more slowly because of the fully oxygenated muscles because they were still. And then obese versus thin people, obese people will show rigor slower because the fat will store the oxygen, whereas a thin person will have rigor accelerated. Okay, so once again, just some examples. If a body shows no visible rigor, it has probably either been dead less than 2 hours, rigor has not set in yet, or it has been dead for more than 48 hours, 36 to 48, and rigor is starting to disappear. If a body is very rigid, then the person has probably been deceased for about 12 hours because full rigor has set in. The entire body is rigid. if the body only exhibits rigor in the upper face, neck area, jaw, those are the smaller muscle groups, you can assume that rigor has just started. So the person has only been deceased for a couple hours. And then if there is some rigor throughout the body, say in the lower torso and leg area, but there's a lack of rigor in the upper area of the face, jaw, and neck, you can assume that it's probably been more than 12 hours because rigor has started to slowly release itself, starting at the upper part of the head and moving down. Okay, and then I've also thrown in just some fun facts, I guess you could call them. You don't need to write these down. I just wanted you to know them. So if a body is in full rigor at its peak, about 12 hours, and it needs to be transported, it is possible that a coroner or whoever is handling the body may actually have to break bones to change the position of the body to get it into a body bag. Also, if there was a very violent death or intense emotion or activity before death occurred, right before death occurred, you can actually have a spasm, and this usually is seen in the hands. So someone will be gripping something very tightly in their hand, and it will actually stay gripped. So maybe it's like a piece of paper stuck in their hand or a knife or something. They may not even realize there's evidence in the hand if it's completely covered until the hand relaxes. And I know this is not this exact same thing because it's not rigor, but if you've ever seen Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets movie, when Hermione is petrified and she's in the hospital, she is gripping a piece of paper and they have to like uncoil her hands. It's kind of the same idea, but obviously she was not deceased then. So that is our second mortis, rigor mortis.